Shelter is ranked second in the hierarchy of human needs, being the most important after food, in order of importance for survival. Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa and the 8th most populous country in the world, is facing serious housing challenge. This is evident in the available statistics indicating that 87% of the total population of households in the country live in rented apartments. As we start the year 2023, being an election year, for any visible change to happen in the housing sector, it will be in the best interest of the electorate to choose wisely a housing-friendly government that sees housing as a top priority. Whoever becomes Nigeria's president after the 2023 general elections will be faced with the country's more than 20 million housing deficit. So, which of the presidential candidates has laid bare his plans to address the country's housing deficit? What will determine the level of home ownership for low-income Nigerians in 2023 and beyond will be dependent on the interest of the person that wins the presidential election. Glad to have you join me on yet another informative episode of Housing Development. As always, I am your housing diva, Flora Arnie. Before we begin, as usual, let's see the news making rounds in the sector. I'll join you shortly.
The real estate sector is off to a positive year in 2023, according to experts, in spite of macroeconomic constraints. Last year was evidently characterized by increased financing costs, rising interest rates, and inflation, which took shine of investment. This reality had pressured many property developers to downsize portfolios, invest in assets at potentially cheaper levels, and reposition properties to meet ever-changing consumer demands. Experts, especially estate surveyors and valuers, town planners, builders and architects, believe the new year comes with tremendous promise for the sector. The chairman, Association of Capital Market Valuers, ACMV, Mr. Chudi Ubosi, anticipates a pent-up demand for residential, especially the medium and low-income residential, while the luxury market stays attractive and remains a hub of value for investors. Student housing, which is a market that is underdeveloped and growing gradually, would also become attractive to investors. Managing Director of Envicons Team Limited, Town Planner Barnabas Atiaye, FNITP, has called for more intense collaboration among professionals, developers and key players in the housing industry to drive home affordable housing provision through urban and regional planning. Speaking at the company's 20th anniversary celebration in Abuja, Town Planner Barnabas Atiaye said as the company evaluates itself through the past 20 years, it is seeking to build an improved generation for the future of the housing industry. He also appreciated the organizers of the Africa International Housing Show for continuously contributing to the agenda to foster housing provision in Nigeria, which has become a major allocation in the budget of the institute. The Lagos State government says in line with its urban development policy, it has undertaken a review of memoranda from stakeholders. In a statement on Sunday, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, Olutoyin, said that the state government, through the Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, had called for memoranda from interested stakeholders. He noted that the review of memoranda was a necessary follow-up to the submission of same by interested parties following the ministry's call for inputs from the members of the public. Describing the response to the call for memoranda as overwhelming, Olutoyin disclosed that submissions were made by different quarters, including maximum development areas of government, professional associations and regulatory bodies, academic institutions, private professionals, and individual members of the public.
For more housing, construction and finance news, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. The rough terrain of Nigerian economy reflected in stifled disposable income, relatively high inflation rates and the high cost of living. This has made home ownership a difficult task for low-income earners. Given these challenges, a large number of low-income earners have jettisoned plans of owning homes, even as a struggle to meet the basic needs of life. Do you think it will be possible for every Nigerian to own at least a house in the next 5 years? The presidential election is almost upon us. What do the electorate want as top priority from the presidential aspirant as they go to the polls in February to vote? Let's find out on Voices on the Streets.
I would say the incoming president should concentrate on the rural areas, you understand, for development. Because majorly, if you look at the whole things, you understand, holistically, most of the houses in the rural areas, they are nothing to write home about, because most of the houses there are, let me say, slums. But if the government, the incoming government, will concentrate on the rural areas, Nigeria, through there, will develop. Maybe they should do away with all those slums and then build houses that will be affordable.
I want the incoming government should sit down and look into the housing matter. Nigerians are suffering. Look around, you see people sleeping under the bridge, sleeping where they are not supposed to sleep. One, I want the incoming government there should be what they call price control. You know, a landlord cannot wake up overnight and put his house the amount of money he or wants it to be. A lot of people cannot sleep in the good places.
If our government, if the president, the coming president, is ready to work, he should be able to see how he can gather all our resources, whether home, abroad, are you getting it? And make sure they get housing, like in 100 hectares of land, where Nigerians, common Nigerians can have housing for 50,000 naira. You're living where water is running, light is there, food is available, everything is available. I think until they do that, if they won't have a better Nigeria.
Okay, the 2020 election is fast approaching, and I would just want to employ whoever becomes or whoever emerges as the next president of Nigeria to really focus on the housing challenges that we have today. You know, we need to begin to develop systems that make housing a bit affordable for our people.
We have mortgage banks. These are the banks that are supposed to help the masses. But the other way is the answer. A common man cannot walk into a mortgage bank and get a loan to build a house of its own. But the government is not doing anything to support the masses in this case. So the government needs to do something, at least to do that. I'm trying to advise the incoming government to try to work hard to see that the masses are able to access loan through mortgage banks.
I really want the government to bring up policies that can make housing affordable. Probably put up a kind of program that can allow even individuals, self-employed persons, to have access to land to develop at their own pace and probably reduce cost of building materials and all of that, so that housing can be accessible and affordable to a whole lot of members of the populace.
In the area of housing, I want the country to assist the low-incoming workers, like those that are not in ministry, they're not working with ministry, they're not in any big parasata. They should help them by beating down the price of houses, making it low at least for a common Nigerian to be able to afford a house.
Voices on the street there. In the face of several buildings springing up across Nigeria, many citizens still roam the streets homeless. This raises an important question that should be answered. Affordable housing. Which of the presidential candidates has the interests of the people they want to rule at heart? It is imperative for the presidential aspirant to study and assess the actual housing need of the low-income earners. The aspirant should also know that for low-income earners to be able to buy or rent houses, the price of houses and rent must be low or subsidized by the government. There must be a blueprint and a workable plan to make the dream of low-cost housing a reality for low-income Nigerians. I'll be back in a moment. Glad to know you're still with me. The program is Housing Development. Experts in the built environment, as well as traditional leaders, have also called on politicians, particularly the presidential aspirant, to include housing for Nigerians into political manifesto before demanding for their votes. Take a listen.
Stakeholders in the built environment have decried the need for politicians to include housing into their political manifestos, as the well-being of the masses should be of utmost priority, noting that political will is needed to provide shelter for the masses they rule, making housing affordable and cheaper, which is a part of their inclusive responsibility. Addressing the issue, Omar Jubril, the immediate past secretary of the FCDA, stressed the irrevocable importance of having politicians include housing in their manifestos, as the need cannot be overemphasized, noting that making shelter a priority will cater for housing those in the low and middle income brackets of the country. Stakeholders in the built environment further expressed the urgent need for the incorporation of an affordable housing scheme into political manifesto by politicians that will enable decent accommodation for Nigerians whose votes they need.
Housing activities is very important, because if you don't provide a healthy environment for your citizens to live, you don't allow people to live in slums, and then you will only go to them to canvass for votes. You have to also help by bringing up some developmental plans, that's urban development plans. No matter how the structures are, let them be well planned. Movement in terms of movement, drainage provision to carry bad water from the homes to the disposal units. So it's also very important for our politicians to ensure that their subjects are living in a healthy environment.
Traditional leaders also noted that responsibilities are there for politicians to look at due to the high rate of housing deficit. The politicians need political will to provide shelter for the masses they rule.
Politicians will live to their responsibility. Make it easy, make it affordable for those, that do not have so much in their pocket, can be able to afford at least basic shelter. Basic. A lot has to be done, and I think that the politicians must have to focus on those things that are really going to be beneficial for the well-being of our people.
There is, however, the need for political aspirants vying for leadership positions at the local, state and federal levels to consider housing as a topmost priority in their political manifesto in the 2023 general election.
Addressing the affordable housing challenge and housing Nigerians should be one of the most important items in each political party manifesto. Let's see workable plans and strategy that will make affordable housing for low-income Nigerians whose votes they seek a reality. Welcome back. It's time for our Woman Crush Wednesday. Our crush today is an exceptional woman with different feathers to her cap. Let's unveil our Woman Crush for the week.
Our Woman Crush this Wednesday is no other person than architect Chioma Wogu Ogbonna, a chartered architect, a chartered estate surveyor and valuer, and also a facility management professional. She had her tertiary education at Abia State University, Uturu, where she obtained her BSc in architecture and went further for her master's program. Currently a deputy director at the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, FCT Abuja, having served as an assistant director in the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, Rivers State, team leader, National Housing Program, Bayelsa, Cross River, and Rivers State respectively. She is an associate member of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, NIEVS, an international associate of American Institute of Architects, and currently the third vice president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. Her resilience, tenacity, and determination to do more in the area of housing has earned her many honors and awards, including the 2019 Construction and Engineering Digest Forum Awards, Professional Service Award of Excellence, Outstanding Professional Woman in the Built Environment, to mention a few. A happily married woman, having built her home and impacted local and international spaces with her expertise. All these reasons and more definitely crowns architect Chioma Wogu Ogbonna as our Woman Crush this Wednesday.
Our Woman Crush Wednesday segment is open for sponsorship. Let's advertise your brand and product on our Woman Crush Wednesday segment. You can call 090-960-94099 or send a mail to housingprogramonit@gmail.com. Welcome back. You're watching Housing Development. The first of its kind technological hub will soon be experienced in Nasarawa State, as the Nasarawa State government has embarked on a technological hub that will integrate residential buildings. Our correspondent Uyi Agbomofegbe has more details.
In a bid to further expand the development horizon in Nasarawa State, the state government has embarked on an initiative to create a first-of-its-kind technology hub that is designed to integrate residential buildings. The project is between the Nasarawa State government on the one hand and Modern Shelter System and Services, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria (FMBN), Family Home Funds, Statewide Homes, and ABS on the other. Join me as we take you to the project site for more.
This entire expanse of land you see behind me was a dump site, but today all of that has paved way to make this place the site of Nasarawa Technology Hub, which has been proposed for not just a technology hub, but also 110 three-bedroom, fully detached bungalows. And we have been told that for the residential buildings, the project is expected to be completed in 14 weeks, starting from January 9.
This is the sample house of the buildings that will ultimately sit on a chunk of this property, and work on the site has already assumed an intense dimension, to say the least. Speaking to Housing Development TV, the project consultant from Modern Shelter Systems and Services Limited, Tanko Adamu, and the architect representing Eclectics Royal Associates Nigeria Limited, Sylvester Egweni, both of whom are involved in the project, shed more light on the journey so far.
It's a 66-hectare plot of land, which is surrounded by development already. It's a partnership with the state government of Nasarawa State. It's a PPP arrangement where we, the stakeholders, have 80% stake, while the state has 20% stake. And we clustered it into about 4 phases. The phase 1 consists of about 190 units of 2 and 3 bedroom detached and 3 bedroom terraces. And 110 detaches, standalone, and 90 3 bedroom terraces. While the second cluster is 243 units of 2 bedrooms strictly, which is a partnership as well with Family Home Fund. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, were here, that he visited the site, he inspected the site, and we gave him our word, and he gave us his word as well. He's ready to partner with us in whatever capacity, in whatever means. They've already given us all we needed. We have our funding, and we give him a word that we're delivering this project in the 14 weeks to come.
In particular, on factors considered with regards to the design, the architect for this project gives us an insight.
We're very familiar with the prevailing situation in society when it comes to cost. All right, so the critical thing that we put into consideration was cost, the cost elements in design. When putting up your design, first, do you want to do the usual hip roof, the one you call German roof locally? That of course will take a lot of money. So looking at cost, we decided to go with mono-pitched system of roofing. Or the issue of size of the building, what we ensured was to make sure we use the very basic sizes in space allocation, to make sure that you're not just unusually allotting space to functions that are highly unnecessary.
The project, we have been told, has not been a walk in the park. The consultant says it has come with its own fair share of challenges.
When you're building mass housing, usually you see a mass land with serious topographical and gradient issues, topographical challenges, hydrological survey issues.
This entire project is planned to feature a range of facilities that stakeholders believe will turn this entire space into a community of its own.
And we have like the fire service station, the abattoir, there's malls, schools, police post, clinic, religious worship areas. We have green areas, children playground, and we have the technology hub. The technology hub here, that hub is going to house the Silicon, just like the Silicon Valley. So this is a we're trying to replicate a mini Silicon Valley here.
We, Agbomofwegbe, reporting for Housing Development TV.
The program is housing development. The Apple Urban Market, developed by Urban Shelter Limited, recently organized a trade fair for subscribers to plug into the modern market. Have a look.
The Apple Urban Market, developed by Urban Shelter Limited, has opened its gates wide to enable subscribers and residents have ease of access for commercial activities in an absolutely excellent and comfortable environment. Strategically located in the Apple axis of Abuja, the market is a complete edifice as it portrays a fusion of aesthetics and modernization. During a trade fair organized by the company, subscribers expressed deep satisfaction with no regrets, noting the huge economic benefits from inception of the market's opening till date.
The market is a moving train. It's actually coming up since from the September till now. I can see improvement. People are here. Customers are coming in. They are trooping in. It's the early days yet, but I believe we are going to do well here.
Apple Urban Market is the most modern market in Abuja currently at the moment. It's a well-planned and well-built market. And then for business in the market, like every other market that is coming up, it actually has its own time and thwarted moments, you understand. But so far, market has been good. Market has been good, as opposed to it being a new market.
I don't want a market where I'll be struggling, the muddy environment and all that. This is a sweet market, it's well organized. Then sales, although it's new, so we are just trying to push to the markets, and it's been good. So anybody that is interested, if you come here, you will be interested. Once you get to this market, you'll be interested. It's a beautiful market, organized markets.
Speaking with the head of sales and marketing, he had this to say concerning the market.
So what we've done here is something that in more or less competes with the ShopRite. So for anybody who wants to do business, because we have lock-up shops, open store here, and the malls to give you that a universal market, a global market. That's what we've done here. And this particular market right now, as you can see, we're 90% done. The market is open for business activities. A lot of people are already, taking up their shops and running their businesses.
Some subscribers stressed on the need for others to grab the opportunity in purchasing a store while the offers lasted.
The major reason why I got a shop here is because of the future. It's not particularly this moment, which I know definitely it will suit out. Like all these markets, Wuse Market, Gariki Market, it was once like this before it developed. So I believe and I see future with the market. That was why I decided to get a shop here. So my advice for everyone is to come to this place, grab the opportunity. There will be a time they will come and they wouldn't see a shop to get for themselves.
Why I chose Apple Urban Market is because the market is neat, as you can see, and the shops here are quite affordable. And since opening this shop, I've gotten working clients, I've gotten students. Just from opening this shop, I know what I've achieved in this place, and I'll encourage people to come buy a shop, rent a shop, and they won't regret it. The market is very neat. It's very easily to describe. You can describe it to people easily, and it's close to the road.
Urban Shelter Limited is geared towards providing improved affordable and decent shelter conditions for Nigerians, thereby committed to building durable structures that serve both residential and commercial purposes.
Filling the current housing gap of above 17 million housing homes will not only provide housing for our people, but also create almost 60 million direct jobs and countless more indirect jobs. This is possible with the right policies, incentives, and mortgage solutions to home ownership within the reach of more Nigerians. On that note, I call it a wrap on today's episode of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. I remain your housing diva,